Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Second guest star in the studio with us, music producer Cobams and his wife Veronica Ojuolakwe, who happens to be Belinda's sister.
Hey!
And they've been married for how long?
Hi.
6 years.
6 years, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, so today we're talking about marriage and married and loving it. And even before we came on the show, the cutest thing Cobams did was, he said, "Where am I looking, guys? That you guys were at my wife." And I thought that was really sweet. So I need tissue because I'm a sucker for love. We just need to hear your love story and how you guys, have pulled through for 6 years.
Okay, so how did we meet, love?
We met at the library. We weren't supposed to be talking, but I'm glad we did. It was interesting. I was taking down, I was taking notes, working on my computer, and then the part I remember is this lady who makes her way and sits down beside me and asks, well, first of all, she asks to be excused, and I promptly say, "You're excused," and she sits down beside me. And then she proceeds to ask me if I knew of a mutual friend, and I said yes, and then we got talking from there on, and I took her number and proceeded to call her. I think maybe 3 days later. She has a different version. It doesn't make me look very good, but I always like for her to tell it, so maybe she should tell. Yeah.
Yes, your version.
Okay, so in my version, I walk into the library and they told me to sit next to him. So he's sitting here and there's a seat right here. I have to cross, right, to get to the seat. And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me." And he's like, "You're excused." And he just continues. And I'm thinking, is it a fight? But he doesn't move. And I'm like, "Excuse me." He's like, "You're excused." Doesn't look at me, doesn't do anything, just faces. So I just huff past him, like, oh, all these rude guys. And I just, in my mind, and I just sit down. So after a while, I'm now looking at what he's doing, and I realize he's typing, but he's not looking at the screen, like he's not looking around. So then I'll cut him, I'm like, oh, he can't see. So then I remembered a mutual friend of mine had kind of told me about him. So then I struck up a conversation with him. I was looking over his shoulder what he was doing. I was spying on all his work. I was just fascinated, like, how is he typing so fast? Not looking on his laptop. And that's how we just got talking. He took my number. I was like, "Oh, how are you going to take my number?" He said, "Just tell it to me, I'll memorize it." And he has an amazing memory. I think even besides the fact that he can't see, his memory is just amazing. And he remembered it, but he didn't call me. So a few days later, I saw him walking out of the library, and I walked in, and I was like, I called him Emmanuel back. I was like, no, I called you Cobams back then.
Yeah, you called me Cobams.
I was like, "Come on."
For like 2 days.
For like 2 days. And I was like, "You didn't call me." And he was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll call you." And he did. He called me that evening.
I called her that afternoon, and then we spoke all weekend.
Yes, we spoke throughout. When we say we racked up a bill. This was Nitel days. We racked up a bill on both sides.
When did you finally decide to move from being friends to, saying, "I'm going to date Cobams"?
Yeah, I was in the office one day, and one of the older managers who had been married said, "So if you don't marry him, who do you want to marry?" Because they knew how much he was my best friend. And, he had been courting me, and I'd been like, "Oh, but I'm not sure, you want to hear from the Lord." Or, I don't know what it is sometimes you're looking for, you don't want to make a mistake. I think there's a lot of fear sometimes when you're making that decision. So, but as she said that, it occurred to me, I said, it's true. If I could be his friend for about, 10 years, and I loved him, loved being around him, and now I have this other type of feelings for him, why not explore it? And so that was what made me just jump into it.
So let's talk about your fights. Because, this is all nice and dandy, but we do know that marriage, sometimes you have to fight to stay together. This thing called marriage, it's not only the good sides, the bad sides. Let's hear some of them.
There's a verse or a phrase that stays with me, and that I learned that from him. I learned a lot of things from him, and that's love covers a multitude of sins. And you literally have to learn how to forgive. And when I mean forgive, quick, move on. You know what I mean? So it's in everyday little things, because I'm very sentimental, very emotional, and I feel everything, and it can be, "Oh, what's that look?" I feel everything. It can be, "Oh, that tone was harsh." You know what I mean? Like, that's how intense I am. I'm very intense. But I've had to learn that if you're going to have relationships, long-term relationships, and it's not just in marriage, I'm sure most of us will find out that it's in all relationships. You want to keep a friend for 20 years, you better learn how to forgive. He or she is going to say something you don't like. And so I think for me, that's the fastest thing I'm learning. And I'm learning that from him, because I always tell him, you have the gift of forgiveness.
I want to just hear your
just both of your opinions on whether you think, you know, issues should be kept just between the two of you, or whether you're comfortable involving either outsiders when there are misunderstandings.
Yeah, so just before I answer that question, let me just mention that I think, you know, one thing that helps us get over our fights very quickly and very easily for me is the fact that, you know, I say to myself, this is not that deep. This is not the end. It's not that big. You don't love her any less. You know what I mean? You know, she might drive you up the wall right now, but hey, tell me you didn't know that was going to happen. You know what I mean? So you just
how
keep
do you
it.
have a mind like this, Kobam? Like, how do you just say that? You know?
Because I intend to live long, and I realize that one of the things that will, you know, kill anybody is just worrying over nothing. I don't like to worry unnecessarily. You know what I mean? I like to just deal with things and keep it moving. I don't like to. Yeah, and I'm a creative person. I'm also, you know, very emotional. I feel things, but I realize that it's important for me to deal with things and move on. That's how I function. Otherwise, you know, my entire life can just shut down. So, you know, whenever we have issues, and we rarely do, I have to say, but you know, when it happens, you know, I'm like, this is who she is. Let her express herself. That she's talking to you with a certain tone, you don't like it, and I go, and sometimes I'm like, so hold on, do you honestly think that I cannot respond to you with this same tone right now? But I've chosen not to. So how about you bring it down?
We need more. Can you teach these men out here?
And then, you know, we kind of, and she's like, look at your head. And then we just kind of laugh it off because it's never really that deep.
You guys, we've run out of time, but really quick comments, because I am a huge fan of your music. I know that your album has dropped, and I want you to talk about it really quick before we let you go.
Yes, I'm really excited. It dropped on the 12th of March. I feel personally connected to this project because it took me about 5 years to create. It's the first of 3 albums, and it's just very, very personal. It's very personal, very expressive. It's, you know, me pouring my heart out there in song. And I'm just super excited about it and excited that, you know, it's receiving a lot of love and, you know, that it's doing well.
Yay! That's good.
You guys are
Thank you
awesome.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This has been, you blessed
guys.
us in so many ways
Yeah.
that
Thank
you
you.
don't even, I mean, I just wish a lot, maybe you should add counseling, Kobam, so that a lot of guys on the streets go to Kobam,
We'll get there,
learn
we'll
from
get there.
him.
Not
Go
just us women learning, the
You
guys
get
also
there.
need to invest.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, that the guys, because we had a guest, you know, our first guest talked about working on herself, which we imbibed and we've agreed.
Yeah.
So maybe for the guys out there, if you're too proud to work on yourself, call Kobam. Kobam, you have to pay me for that plug. Just call him, and he will help you out to sort out your
set up
issues.
the number, the IVR and everything.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
we can
thank you
both get
so
rich.
much. This has been so exciting, and I'm sure, you know, you would have a lot of married presenters very soon.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes. Coming up on the show, it's a book review.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Today it's now time for a book review, and I'm going to be reviewing a book called How to Get Your Wife to Swing from the Chandelier in a Red Negligee, and it is by Amaka Chika Mbonu, and very interesting book. You know, it's a different perspective because, of course, it's talking about how men can court and also how to deal with women, which I think it was great because the book was talking to men, and you usually have the perspective of saying how to get your man to do this and that. But you know, she has been married and she was just honest and open about everything that's been happening. So she's been married for 23 years, she has 2 children, and I thought it was a really, really good read. Yeah.
What I liked most about the book was how difficult or how different we are in communication. How a woman can say one thing and a man hears another. And it sort of helped to breach that gap in understanding ourselves even more. And Tamaka is a very, very, very lovely woman, very vocal about marriage and, you know, wanting to explore the differences between men and women. And this book is one to read before you get married, I would say, and even when you are married.
Yeah,
it
there's
sort
definitely
of
some pearls
helps
of
you.
wisdom in there.
Yeah,
that-
just when you feel like you're clashing, almost like that famous story where the guy got back and he was sad, and the woman was like, did I do something wrong? Is he cheating? And just because his team lost, he just didn't want to talk.
Exactly.
What
It
she
had
had
nothing
thought
to do with you.
She had thought the worst ever. So you know, that kind of narrative, that kind of book. It's a good book.
Oh, that's cool. It's always great when I review a book that, you know, one of you guys have read. So
Yeah.
it's good to know that
I'm
you've
going
read
to
it.
pick it. I'm actually going to read this after
Yeah?
your recommendation. It sounds
Awesome. All right. If you have anything that you'd like us to review, please send it to the address that's scrolling across the screen. Coming up shortly, it's time for Financial Access.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. It is now time for our financial tip of the day. And it is, wait a day before buying. If you're prone to impulse shopping, institute a one-day waiting period before buying. That will give you time to evaluate if that purchase is a want or a need. This right here is for me. I see certain things on Instagram now, because you know there are loads of personal shoppers who are just popping up left, right, center. And I'm like, oh, these shoes are gorgeous. I totally have to have it. And if I don't buy it then and there, I've realized that when I wait a day and I look at the shoe again, I'll start seeing things that it's not even that great. The color might not be that popping on that dress. Let me just do without it. So I agree in waiting a
I
day.
completely agree too.
Interesting.
But moving on to our question of the day.
Yes, it is time for our question of the day, Polani. Thank you for that. So it is, do you believe in compromising in a marriage?
I do believe in compromise, because I believe in a compromise in any relationship, you know.
Yeah.
Even in people, the way people raise kids today, it's a compromise. I think that you have to constantly compromise, but there's certain things that, you know, you should know. I mean, I would say this to people out there: before you get married to someone, there's that dating period. Know the person very well. Compromise what you're supposed to compromise outside of the marriage, because inside you can't change somebody who you accepted like that. Then it can become a bit crazy.
I completely agree with Tucker. I think that, you know, you have your list of no's, like things that you absolutely cannot compromise before you get married, so that when you get in, you're not confused and you're not like, but wait, can we change this? Because people don't change, right? They rarely change.
And it's like you knew who I was. So.
Exactly.
So deal with it. I definitely believe in compromising. I feel like, you know, in marriages, people go through so many different situations, and you kind of have to give allowances for certain things and certain behaviors. You know, I feel like marriage is like, can't always be 50-50. Sometimes it might be like 70-30 on one side, 60-40. So compromise is very
just to
important.
say, just as you compromise on the things that, as Bolani said, not the heavy lifting. So it's, you know, compromise on what color he likes. Blue, I like black, but I'm going to let him wear his blue because he likes blue. Compromise on food, but then
not on big things like maybe having
religion
children
or things like that.
Or big issues. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the question of the day. Do you believe in compromise in marriage? Send your thoughts and replies to the addresses scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Now, before we go, let's take a look at this.
That is funny.
That's hilarious.
But I agree, because the internet would test you married or not.
I know.
The frustration of like trying to open up Google and it's taking 5 minutes.
I guess it's a test of patience, right?
It is, to see if the person is really patient or if they get petty when it comes to small things.
All right, ladies, that's been very, very awesome. We've learned today. Don't be surprised if in 6 months, Tallulah or Bolanle will be walking down the aisle with all the pearls of wisdom we heard today. That's it on tonight's episode of Moments Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. Remember to join us again on the next episode. But remember,
if you can think it, you can do it.